She said my brain didn't work like other kids, that I had a condition, something neurological, complicated, fragile. She always looked so calm when she said it, like she was telling me what the weather was going to be, or what we were having for dinner. She said it like it was fact, and I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She was my mother. She was supposed to be the person who loved me the most, but she wasn't loving me. She was lying to me, and she lied so well for so long that I never even suspected the truth. I was never sick. I was never disabled. I was normal. She just didn't want me to know. When I think back on my childhood, it plays out like a slow, quiet kind of horror movie. No screaming, no blood, just a long, low unease that builds with every scene. My earliest memories are filled with limitations, not mine, but the ones she carefully placed around me. I wasn't allowed to run too fast, or spin in circles, or jump off things. She said I had a balance issue. I couldn't play on the jungle gym at recess. Too risky. No birthday parties with too much noise or color. Too overstimulating. No soccer, no swim lessons, not even riding a bike. She said it was all because of my condition, which she always described with vague words that changed over the years. First, it was sensory processing disorder. Then it was developmental coordination disorder. Sometimes she called it a nonverbal learning disability, even though I talked nonstop. She told teachers I had trouble focusing. She told doctors I had meltdowns. She told me that my brain was wired differently, that I needed to be protected, managed, coddled. I spent most of elementary school in special education rooms, not because I couldn't keep up, but because my mom insisted I needed extra help. She told the school district that I couldn't handle the noise and pressure of a regular classroom. I sat through sessions with occupational therapists who made me string beads and push putty through plastic holes, even though I was already reading chapter books and asking questions about space and time. I remember one day in second grade I got a worksheet from a therapist that asked me to identify basic shapes, circles, squares, triangles. I asked her if it was a mistake. She smiled and said, "It's just to help with your processing." I felt embarrassed. I didn't know what processing meant, but I understood I was supposed to be behind. Slower, less. So I played along. My friends, or the kids I was allowed to see, were usually also in special programs. Some had real diagnoses: autism, ADHD, motor coordination issues. Some needed wheelchairs or used assistive technology to communicate. I remember feeling confused because I didn't feel like them. I could talk, I could run, I could understand things they struggled with. I didn't think I was better, just different from how my mom described me. But every time I tried to bring it up, she'd shut me down. "Sweetheart, you don't understand," she'd say, brushing my hair behind my ear. "Your brain is different. You just don't realize how much I help you." And I believed her, again and again, because she said it with love. That's what made it so hard to see the manipulation. She wasn't mean, she was warm. She made me smoothies with brain vitamins. She gave me special routines. She took me to appointments with therapists and specialists and told me I was brave for going. I didn't know she was dragging me deeper into a role I never chose. It wasn't until high school that I started to feel something was seriously wrong. Not with me, but with what I'd been told. I got a new guidance counselor, Ms. Ramirez, who was sharp, observant, and had this gift for reading people. After a group presentation in honors English, she asked me to stay behind. I assumed I was in trouble, but instead she just looked at me curiously and asked, "Can I ask you something? Your IEP file says you have some pretty significant processing issues, but I just watched you lead a flawless presentation and field questions like a grad student. Has your diagnosis changed?" I blinked at her. "I don't really know," I said. "My mom handles all that." That was the moment something cracked. She tilted her head and said very gently, "Would you be okay if I looked deeper into your records? Just to make sure you're getting the right support?" I nodded, still confused, still loyal to the story I'd been told. But deep down, something uneasy stirred, like I was standing on a floor that might not be as solid as I thought. A week later, she called me into her office. Her face was tight, concerned. She had a stack of paperwork in front of her. She said, "I need to show you something." What she had found was a mess. My file was bloated with contradictory reports, some of them handwritten, most based on my mother's input. There were vague diagnoses, many outdated. Some reports described delays and symptoms that didn't match my actual performance. But one report stood out, a full neuropsych evaluation from when I was 10. It stated clearly, cognitive functioning is within normal range. No significant processing issues noted. Recommend re-evaluation of special education placement. The psychologist concluded I was fine, that I didn't need any of the support systems I'd been placed into. But that report had been buried, never sent to school district, never acknowledged again. I was stunned. I went home that night and confronted my mom. I'd never raised my voice at her before. I didn't even know I could, but I was shaking with rage and confusion. "Why did you lie?" I asked. "Why did you tell them I was sick?" Her reaction still haunts me. She didn't deny it. She cried, not from guilt, but from fear. "I was trying to protect you," she sobbed. "You don't understand what the world does to kids who are different." I told her, but I wasn't different. Not like that. She said, "You needed me." "You still do." And that's when it hit me. It was never about my needs. It was about hers. She needed to feel important. Like a devoted, tireless mother navigating the hardship of raising a child with challenges, it gave her purpose, sympathy, identity. She loved the attention. She loved telling stories about the struggles we'd overcome. People praised her for her dedication, for her strength. And I was the trophy, the proof of her selflessness. She crafted a narrative where she was the hero, and I was the broken child who needed saving. I moved out after graduation. College was a revelation. I enrolled in standard courses, biology, statistics, even a creative writing class. And I thrived. I didn't need accommodations. I didn't need special routines. I didn't fall apart without her constant hovering. I was fine. Better than fine. For the first time, I started to figure out who I actually was, not the version she shaped me into, not the quiet, dependent child who couldn't trust her own instincts. Just me, capable, curious, whole. I got therapy, real therapy, not the kind where people tried to make me cope with issues I didn't have, but therapy that helped me untangle the trauma of being gaslit for years by the one person who was supposed to protect me. I learned about factitious disorder imposed on another, Munchausen by proxy. I'm not a psychologist, so I can't diagnose her, but the patterns were disturbingly similar. Control through manufactured illness, emotional dependency through fake caregiving, isolation disguised as protection. It didn't feel like abuse at the time, but looking back, it absolutely was. She still hasn't apologized. She still insists she was just trying to help. She tells relatives I've become ungrateful, that I don't appreciate everything she sacrificed. And maybe I don't. Because what she gave me wasn't love. It was fear, control, and the slow erosion of my self-worth. I've rebuilt a lot since then. I've made friends, real ones. I've dated, traveled, even started writing about my experiences. This story is part of that. I'm telling it not because I want pity, but because I know there are others out there who've lived in similar cages, soft, padded ones built from overprotection and false diagnoses. To anyone out there who's ever doubted themselves because someone they loved told them they were broken, you're not. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're not fragile. You were lied to. And it's not your fault. You deserve to know who you really are, not who someone else decided you had to be. I'm not her special needs child anymore. I never was. I'm just a person. And for the first time in my life, that's enough.